God, man. What are you trying to do?
Getting
Getting a heart attack?
I'm sorry. I just stopped in to see what's new.
Oh, well, you just wanted to check in and see what was new, huh? Well, there's some new parts, and I'm working on plumbing and electrical. I'm going to start laying out the firewall.
Yeah. See, you've been doing a little shopping again.
Yeah, I know. I had to buy some more new parts, but let's think about it, man. This thing rolled off the assembly line in 1977. It needs a few new parts.
Well, you got a point there. The only thing older in this garage than this Jeep is you.
Yeah, whatever, man. Speak for yourself. Look, I got work to do. Why don't you just scuttle on over and bother someone else, and I'm gonna open up this box and show everybody what we got in here. So take a hike.
All right. Get busy, man.
Sorry about that, guys. So yeah, I got a box in here from Quadratec, and to be honest with you, I can't really remember what's in it. So we'll open that up in a minute, and then I think we will start on our firewall here. So let's get that done, shall we? Okay, this is our box from Quadratec, and indeed, once I get in here, it is parts for our clutch linkage. So here's the deal. This part of the clutch linkage is what you activate with the pedal, which pushes this rod down there, and that's what activates the throwout bearing. Now, I had a couple of people in the comments before when I was struggling with my twin stick thing say, why don't you just throw a 1-inch body lift under the body and get some room to work on everything else. And this piece right here and this arm was what I was talking about. I think I might have mentioned it when I said, you know, if you lift the body, there's always some place else that you have to make up the difference. And it becomes this piece and the associated brackets and so forth that mount this to the tub, because it mounts to the tub on one side and the bell housing on the other. So if you raise the body, then essentially what you're doing is, instead of this being nice and straight and level, if you raise the body up, then you either have to drop your bracket back down and extend your arm, or you're not going to line up. Your clutch isn't going to work. So that was one of the reasons that we decided to just not lift the body above the stock thing. Was I just didn't want to have to mess with making the clutch work well, because it's pretty important to have a good working clutch. So I know that the argument could be made that we could have potentially put a hydraulic clutch in and convert it over to hydraulic instead of a manual linkage. But again, I've heard that, you know, then you have troubles with your pedal. You're pushing harder with your pedal, and you have to reinforce the firewall. And a lot of guys have even taken pedal sets out of newer model Jeeps and put in there. So, you know, there's just no free lunch with any of this. If you change one part, or you lift the body off the frame more than it was factory lifted, then you're just going to have to catch up with that somewhere. And so yeah, I just decided not to go that route. So I do have the clutch here now. So the interesting thing about this thing is I'm trying to do better at telling you about part numbers. So this part number says that it is a 5360104K Crown Automotive part number. No big deal, right? The interesting thing about it is it says it's made in Various. Now, if you know where the country of Various is, go ahead and leave me a comment down below, because I feel like I'm a pretty well-read gentleman and I have no idea where the country of Various is. So anyway, but that's where our stuff was made, in Various. So we'll put this aside for just a little bit here and come back to it a little bit as we start to work on making sure our tubs lined up. We can get locked down to get this frame, or get this thing installed. All right, well, I paid a short visit to the Jeep graveyard on the side of the house and brought in my pedal brackets for the clutch and the brake pedal. And then the gas pedals. Now, again, since I got 2 Jeep projects going on here, I got 2 gas pedals. And you can see that they are exactly the same between CJ5 and CJ7, except the only difference I could figure is the rubber mat on them. One has stripes going sideways and one has stripes going up and down. But yep, we're ready to get these sanded up and painted up and ready to go back in so that we can start to get our clutch and all that hooked up. All right, well, if you've been with me through much of this project, you've seen this ritual before. We drag out this poor old 3/8" drill that is really getting hammered here, and I strap in my assortment of wire wheels. I got a small pointy one and a big round one and these wheel things, and I go at it, first of all, with those, and that kind of does a pretty good job of really making the most mess. Gets the dusty layer of that rust off. And then I turned to this kind of wheel of sandpaper, kind of what it is, strips of coarse sandpaper on a wheel. And this works okay, but I always kind of wind up going back to my big angle grinder thing with that abrasive wheel that I got from Harbor Freight in there. That seems to kind of go the fastest of everything, but it's noisy and it really makes a mess. So I kind of do it at the end. But anyway, I'm just knocking this big layer of rust off this stuff. Some of these parts you're never going to see again, and we're really just painting them up so that we won't get any more rust. This particular surface right here goes up above kind of the bottom of the cowl, just below the windshield, underneath the dash, behind the dash. So you're not really going to see this, but I like to just give it the same amount of love that we'd give to a part you are going to see. Okay, while we're waiting for paint to dry, we're going to move up into the engine compartment and start placing this power steering bracket. Now, it takes a little doing to figure out where everything goes, as you took all this stuff off like 6 months or a year ago. But I got this sorted out with one exception. I still keep coming back to that one little bracket, and I'll show you that bracket in a minute. I just can't seem to figure out where that one right there, where's that thing go? I'll get it, but I'm gonna have to go back and find that thing on the video. I've just tried it in every different place, and I can't find a spot for it. But anyway, I think I got this power steering bracket sorted, and I'm just sticking some longer bolts in here just to make sure I got the right size. I do have to get some shorter bolts, But the power steering pump should be showing up soon, and now the brackets will be ready to accept it. Okay, with my bracket kind of roughed in, started turning my attention to my new power steering hoses. So we're just cleaning out the fittings in the box here. I have had a little piece of paper towel kind of down in these holes the whole time to keep dirt and stuff from getting in there. But we just give them a little final cleanup before we start to put our hoses in. Now, there was a little part of me in the back of my mind that was slightly concerned that I was going to hook the hoses up backwards and wind up turning left when I turned the wheel to turn right. But have no fear. The fittings into the box are two different sizes. So you have one hose that only has a fitting on one end. So obviously that end has to screw into the box. The other end just goes around a nipple fitting on the back of the pump. And then the other hose has two different size fittings on it. The bigger one goes down into the pump. So you can't mess it up. Now, one thing I think is important to do is really make sure that you're just hand getting your threads started on these fittings so that you're not cross-threading anything. And then once you're really sure you got everything all lined up and you're going in the hole well, then you can grab a couple of wrenches and starting to tighten things down a little bit. It takes a 3/4 inch wrench for your bigger fitting and a 9/16 for that smaller one. And at this point in the parade, I'm not really tightening these down all the way, just in case I have to take them off again or whatever. I'm just kind of firming them up in there so that they don't go anywhere, and then kind of will stay in one position so I can get everything mounted when the pump gets here, and I can start to get these hooked to the back of the pump. Okay, one small correction. Pretty sure that was an 11/16 wrench on the bigger fitting, not a 3/4. So if you got a 3/4 and you can't figure out why it's not working, I told you the wrong wrench size. Sorry about that. Okay, next we're going to turn our attention to the shaft that connects the steering column to the steering box. And this is that new one that I got. I'll put the part number down in the comments. But you do have to have a 1/2 inch wrench to back off the set nut or the lock nut, jam nut, whatever you want to call it. And then you take a hex head Allen wrench and you kind of back out the little set key. Now, this should slide right onto the splines on the power steering box. And I say should, being the operative word there. It should have just slid on. I messed around. Finally, what I wound up doing was backing off the set screws on the top part of this little universal joint and pulling the shaft out of there and kind of persuading the thing in with, first of all, a rubber mallet and then just a last little tap or two with my 2-pound sledge. So it kind of seems like that's how we do it. We start off trying to be gentle, use the little rubber mallet, and that did okay, but didn't get all the way. And so we got the big dog out and tapped it in the rest of the way. And then we just reverse the process of tightening down our set screws, and we're good to go. Okay, well, we got one more box in from Summit Racing, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be our power steering pump. Let's open her up and find out for sure. I think that's all I've ordered recently. Good thing I get another sticker, another one of those $100 wine vouchers. I ought to probably take at least one of these up to the old man in Montana. Maybe we can get some wine shipped to his house in Montana. Maybe I should have him ship a bunch up there and then give me a reason to go to Montana more often. So, yeah, anyway, let me get this out of here. We're going to have to probably Tip it over on our box of shiny new brake pedals here. Oh, hang on, more of those cardboard staples. I gotta grab the pliers. Read this warranty before installation. Nah, we don't need that. Just kidding. I'll read it. Okay, so yes indeed. Here is our new power steering pump. And for heaven's sake, it looks like it has oil in it, or it's been tested with oil or something. So looks like our block, when they shipped that, it came all packed in plastic. So obviously I'm going to store that for a minute facing up, and I'm going to grab some of my blue towels and clean it off here. But there we go, new power steering pump. I got my bracket up there, so now I can get that sorted out. So that's probably where we're going to leave this go around for now. I think I mentioned you got to go to Montana, and so I'll get that done. And I picked up a box of bolts and some lock washers. Now here's an interesting thing I did not know. I'll share it with you. So I read a report somewhere, you know, the old split lock washers that we've all used forever. Some university did a study and they said those don't really do anything, they don't work. But these lock washers that are kind of a star shape that have the little tabs around them are pretty darn effective. So if you're going to do lock washers, apparently according to the guys at that university, you might as well use these external tooth lock washers. So I bought some of those, but I also bought some of those kind of nylon lock washers as well as just some regular washers, because we are going to start to bolt in our brake pedals and clutch pedal over there, and we have our battery box to hook in over on this side. All of that stuff, obviously we don't want it to come loose. So there's that. That's this. I'm out of here. I'll see you next go around.